Hey there, Oz.
Hey there, Curtis.
Hey, what movie are we watching this week?
This week we've got a movie marriage of Vacation
Yeah.
meets Funny Farm with a little bit of Good Morning America
Yeah.
and a little bit of Cape Fear.
Yeah, that's in there too.
This week we're talking about What About Bob?
Cape Fear.
Didn't even matter which version you're watching.
No. Whether it's Robert Mitchum or whether it's Bobby De Niro. Yeah.
That's so. Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to another episode of Let's Talk About Flicks, the podcast where we take a monthly theme. This month being questionable films.
Yes.
Not are they films, but they're films with questions in the title.
Is this a film I'm watching?
This week we're talking about bananas. Is this a film?
No.
This week we're talking about the stuff that sits on top of potato soup.
Yeah.
Is this a film?
Is this a film? You pick it up. And
it is a film.
It is literally a film.
But I'm one of your hosts, Oz.
I'm the other host, Curtis.
And we would definitely want to give a shout out to our Patreon subscribers, Don S., Aaron A., Amanda K., Melissa L., Colin K., and Lyle M. Thank you one and all for your patronage.
Thank you.
Yeah. What about Bob?
What about Bob?
Yeah. 1991.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Frank Oz directed.
Frank Oz directed. Yes.
Yeah.
Puppeteer Frank Oz said, I'm going to step out behind the curtain. I'm going to step out from underneath this puppet and this Muppet, and I'm going to direct a film.
Mm-hmm. And he does. We were talking a little pre-show. Again, this movie, I had such a mixed reaction to this movie.
Right. Yeah. It's it definitely like I mentioned, there's a lot wrong with it.
Uh-huh.
It's important to remember that this movie is 34 years old now.
Uh-huh. Yep.
But yeah, there is certainly warts.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the analogy that you gave before the show about it really just transitioning into a cartoon of sorts.
Yes.
And which makes some of the choices easier to digest when it is just so blown out of proportion.
Yeah, it goes so over the top. Towards the end of the second act, it just becomes Bugs and Daffy.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that a lot more than I did everything leading up to it.
Yes, for sure. But overall, it's
a film.
It is a film. So that answers the question.
It is a film.
It is a film. But no, it falls into that and I've talked about it several times over the 189 episodes. This is episode 189.
Buck 89.
Yeah. Of this, I think this falls into that kind of mid-tier film that studios pump out because we've got a script and let's attach some people and it's not going to cost us a ton of money.
Yeah.
And we'll make what we make and maybe we'll catch lightning in a bottle kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. I didn't even look at how did this movie do at the box office. I think it did pretty well, didn't it?
$39 million budget, about $64 million box office.
That's a pretty good take.
It's profitable. Yeah. Absolutely. But it does. It falls into that category for me of just kind of a safe, squeeze bunt kind of thing. Maybe I get on, maybe I don't, but either way, not a lot of damage, is going to be done either way. But yeah, this is not, it's not Bill Murray's biggest film. It's not Richard Dreyfuss's biggest film.
Yeah. There's no bullet time slow motion.
No, but it's just, it's a couple of professional actors.
Yeah.
Putting their behind the scenes beef apart because they did not get along on the set of this film.
No, they did not.
Which you hear that a lot about Bill Murray.
Yeah.
You hear that a lot about Richard Dreyfuss too.
Yeah. You put these two big egos together
and Frank Oz got it all on screen. I think thankfully they were professional enough to make it work.
To get the job done. Yes.
Yeah. Because I do enjoy this. And really, I watched this movie for Julie Haggerty. So
you could have had Airplane in your movie marriage.
I could. I thought about it at first.
I was actually expecting Jaws.
That would have been fair. Yeah. Actually, we just watched Jaws last night.
Yeah.
It was just on TV and the kids were like, Is that Jaws? Yeah, that's Jaws. And we just left it on. Normally we switch off, but I'm like, you guys are 14 and 10. If you want to watch Jaws, watch Jaws.
How did they like it?
They both went upstairs. Like, to be fair, that was fine. As we just got back from vacation, we've been cooped up together for a week.
Sure.
You guys want to go your own rooms? Go for it. But Jenny and I watched the whole thing. So
yeah.
So who's in What About Bob?
Yeah, What About Bob? Again, early 90s or so, questionable title. I love the theme, this particular theme. Movies that literally ask a question.
Yeah.
So as far as the cast goes, we've already mentioned the big stars here. We've got Bill Murray and Richard Dreyfuss. Bill Murray plays the titular Bob Wiley, a patient with many many struggles.
All of them.
Yes.
He has all the struggles.
All the struggles. He has all of them.
Creates his own to avoid actually having them.
Yes. Mental, psychological, emotional, social. They're all there. And he's very needy. He's a very needy patient. He's yes. And so he catches up with the vacationing psychiatrist, Dr. Leo Marvin, played by Richard Dreyfuss. As Wikipedia describes his character, a pompous, uptight psychotherapist.
To say the least.
Yeah. We also get to know Dr. Leo Marvin's family, such as Faye Marvin, played by Airplane's Julie Haggerty, of all people. We didn't get to see her do any dancing in this one.
No, I wanted to see her and Dreyfuss recreate the disco dance.
The thumbs behind the back.
That's right. Got a knife in my back.
We've got Dick Tracy's Charlie Korsmo as Sigmund, one of their kids, as well as Catherine Irby as Anna, the other child. So those names will probably come up for me later, as well as the theoretical approach that Dr. Leo Marvin chooses to take to apply his psychiatry. But we'll save those details for later.
Yeah.
We've also got, I'll mention a couple more quick ones here. We got Fran Brill. I think I had one of those changed in my car the other day. I asked the mechanic to change my Fran Brill.
That's true, yeah.
It's getting dusty in there.
It was squeaky.
Yeah. I got a bad Fran. It's been 50,000 miles since my Fran Brill got changed.
That's right. Got to have regular maintenance.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to leave that Fran Brill in there too often. She plays Lily Marvin, Leo's cheerful sister. Again, just directly citing Wikipedia here. And then I'll mention two more really quick. We have the Gutmans.
I love that. I love these guys.
Yeah, it's a husband and wife local who live in the vacation community that the Marvins are in. We have Mr. Gutman, played by Tom Aldridge, and Mrs. Gutman, played by Susan Willis. Yes, they own a local coffee shop, and they don't like Leo Marvin.
No. Well, he bought the house they've been saving up for.
Yes. Yeah, bought it right out from under them.
That's right.
She never talks like that. All right, well, hey, that's the cast of What About Bob? ? What about Bob?
What about him? We meet said Bob as the movie starts. He lives in New York City. To be honest, despite all of the diagnosed and undiagnosed issues Bob has, he's pretty high functioning.
He lives by himself in one of the largest cities in the world, the largest city in America, and he's able to take care of himself. So he does have day-to-day functioning capabilities.
Yeah. So he lives alone. Well, no, he doesn't. He's got his fish Gil. He's got his goldfish Gil. He lives by himself. He works from home, which in 1991 is very impressive.
Yeah.
To have a remote job. It doesn't matter what he does, but we see him play up. Well, Gil, I got to go to work. And then he just turns his chair around. And,
he has his own punch card thing and everything. He punches in.
Punches in. But the issue with Bob is he is constantly in a state of just distress.
Yeah.
He's Chicken Little times 1,000.
Yeah.
And so because of that, very high maintenance.
Yeah.
He runs through therapists like they're going out of style. And so, we see really the first character that's not Bob is his therapist, who is Leo Marvin, of course.
Yeah.
But Bob's current therapist is calling Dr. Marvin to basically say, I'm closing up shop and I've passed off one of my patients to you.
He's very hastily packing his office.
Yes, I love this.
While he's talking to Dr. Marvin.
I love the back and forth of, Marvin has no idea what's coming. He's thrilled to, well, thank you for thinking of me. Absolutely. Not a problem. As like you said, Bob's current therapist cannot pack up and get out of his office fast enough. Like he's just, I'm done. Bob is too much and I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And so, Bob's been referred to Leo Marvin. This movie takes no time at all getting these two together.
No, they're together in about 5 minutes into the movie or so.
Yeah. And so what Bob is actually doing is preparing to go to his first appointment with Dr. Marvin. And Bob is not anything but if he's not anything, he's certainly prompt.
Yeah, the old psychiatrist or therapist even says like he shows up on time, he pays in advance,
he pays ahead.
He's the perfect patient.
Yeah, you got to take him, Dr. Marvin. It's a piece of cake, this one,
and especially for a great professional like you, Dr. Marvin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Stroke that ego.
Yeah. Yes, and he knows what he's doing too.
Oh, absolutely. And so, Bob makes his way across New York City to somehow, to Dr. Marvin's office.
I love the moment we see Bob step out onto the sidewalk from his apartment building.
Yeah, they're on the stoop.
Yeah, he hears every noise in the city.
He's like Daredevil out there.
He was also swinging from rooftop to rooftop.
Bob Wiley was the second Daredevil after Matt Murdock packed it up.
Murdock, yeah.
And Bob just couldn't handle the hand.
Yeah, he couldn't. It was just too much. Kingpin got too much of him.
And so, but, Dr. Marvin is about to go on vacation.
Yeah.
Okay. So Bob's on his way over and, Marvin's secretary is like, call and get Bob scheduled for when I get back. He's like, well, he's on his way, sir.
He's called twice.
He's called twice. He's on his way. Fine, we'll do it. Dr. Marvin is above any of his patients. He has reached a point. Now, I'm not going to say he never got into psychotherapy for the right reasons, because I'm sure he did, but he has reached, he wrote a book called Baby Steps. And he firmly believes that this new therapy book, Baby Steps, and the principles behind it, which essentially are, if you take small enough bites, you can solve any problem, are going to make it famous. As a matter of fact, he's going to be on Good Morning America.
Yeah.
And now that this book is out, this book and his potential fame from it are number one priority for Dr. Marvin. Is no longer his patients.
Yeah.
It is I'm above all this.
He wants to be a best-selling author. I mean, it's I don't know if they ever mentioned like the New York Times bestseller list, but you get the idea that like that's what he's trying to attain.
Right. I need to make it there. Like it's no longer helping people, it's benefiting from helping people. So Bob shows up and we get a fun little back and forth as Marvin wants to just get him out of there. Like, my vacation clock is ticking.
Yeah, he's half checked out.
Yeah, you need to leave. Bob, take a copy of my book, Baby Step, as he's holding it like he's Vanna White.
Yeah, it's like he's trying to find the camera to hold it up just right.
Exactly. So, why don't you take a copy of my book, Baby Steps? And he quickly explains to him what Baby Steps means. Yeah. And shoos him out. And, Bob's like, you know what? You've cured me.
Baby steps.
Baby steps to the door. Baby steps down the hall.
Through the lobby.
That's right. Like, you've done it. Like, just focus on what's immediately in front of me and take a baby step and I'm good. So Bob makes an appointment for a month. I'll see you after vacation. I can't wait to see you. And Bob is so happy.
Yeah.
He doesn't even realize that he's just kind of being cast aside, but he's so happy to have somebody to listen and somebody that wants to help him. Of course, that evening, Bob is relapsed and he can't cope with reality. And we get a very out of character, but fun Bob constantly calling the exchange.
Yeah.
And trying to, sweet talk the lady into giving him the vacation home information, to which she's like, no, not doing it. Finally, she just calls Dr. Marvin and was like, this is what's going on, put him through, and Dr. Marvin just was like, Bob, really puts the hammer down.
Yeah. He initially, Dr. Marvin is good with boundary setting. He's clear. He's polite, but he's very clear in his statements.
I have no doubt that he's probably a very good, psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever exactly his position is.
Or at least he was until
right. But it's like, I just mean he's got the tools necessary to be a competent, successful man in his position.
Yeah.
So, that's not good enough for Bob, though. Bob needs more because, like you said, he's very, very needy.
Well, that word "needs" is the key word here. His diagnoses, you could argue that there's like 12. Like, he's definitely comorbid. There's definitely different things going on, but there's dependent personality disorder is probably there, which is your access to personality disorders, and then you've got some kind of anxiety disorder there, whether it's OCD, agoraphobia,
right,
general anxiety, all of the above, perhaps.
Yeah,
but like
it's E.
Yeah, but like that's Bob.
Yeah, that's Bob. He's all of them in one package, and so he's continually, because again, I need to see Dr. Marvin.
Yeah.
Talking to him didn't help because, again, Marvin set the boundaries. I'll see you in a month, Bob. Read the book, take your baby steps. I'll see you in a month. So that Bob shows up at the exchange dressed as a detective. And he tells the ladies at the exchange that Bob Wiley has committed suicide and that he has some questions for Dr. Marvin. And I need to see him in person for this. And so he gets access. Well, they're up in Lake Winnipesaukee, New Hampshire on vacation at the vacation home. Here's the address. Mission accomplished for Bob.
He knows where Marvin is.
And so thankfully there's a direct bus from New York City to Lake Winnipesaukee, New Hampshire.
Directly there.
Right.
And it runs several times a day.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. So Bob hops on the bus. By the time they get where they're going, everyone applauds when he leaves.
Yes, when he leaves, because they're so happy. At one point, everybody who was remaining on the bus was all congregated in the front while Bob was in the back.
Yeah. He's just very, very irritating over a decent chunk of time.
Yeah.
And so he just at this point, the Marvins they're in a store or something, Bob gets off.
Yeah, they went out shopping. They're at the local general store.
They're just going about their business. Bob gets off the bus and just immediately starts yelling, Dr. Marvin, Dr.
Leo Marvin.
He's just yelling,
just in the middle of the street.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just the town crier now. And so he the family, it's like, and Bob or Leo, just the look on his face of like, oh no, well,
he's trying to shoo his family to the car as fast as he can.
Let's get out of here. And so they cross paths. And so Leo basically says, okay, Bob, I'll go to this coffee shop. I will call you and you go home. Like, you cannot be here. And Bob's like, okay, fair enough. Cause I really, really don't think Bob wants to be I don't think he wants to drive people as mad as he does. I think those are his needs that come out.
Yeah.
I think Bob genuinely doesn't want to be a nuisance. He just doesn't know how not to be a nuisance.
Exactly. Well said.
And so Bob goes to the coffee shop, the Gutman Zone, and they reveal to Bob that, well, we know where because Dr. Marvin doesn't call him.
Mm-hmm.
We know where Dr. Marvin lives because that lake house that they bought, we were saving money for. And he's swooped it out from under us. You know what? Hop in the car, Bob. We'll just take you out.
We'll take you there.
We'll take you straight there. And so all of this house of, and it's not even a house of cards Leo intentionally built, but it's all crumbling down around him.
Yeah.
Because of these two, Leo is supposed to be the one that people side with.
Mm-hmm.
He's professional. He's competent. He's not neurotic. He's not he's supposed to be the one that you look at and be like, that's the person we want to be.
Yeah.
But he's not in this movie. Seems like everyone Bob crosses paths with has some kind of beef or something with Marvin.
Yeah. Well, this will probably come up a little bit more, but Dr. Marvin, he's not a likable character.
Oh, not at all. Not at all.
And you're supposed to not identify with him. That's the point.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And Bob does again, and I think the bus ride is a perfect symbol of this movie. Is in small doses, Bob and his personality are very charming.
Yeah. That's the perfect word to describe Bob in small doses.
In small doses. And so the brief amount of time he was at the shop with the Gutmans, he he wasn't around long enough for people to really peel the onion back.
Yeah.
And reach that level of intolerance with Bob. And so small doses with the Gutmans, small doses later up with the Marvins, in these micro doses, Bob's great.
Yeah, he's charming. He pulls people in.
Yeah.
He's personable.
Yeah.
He's funny. He's clever.
And the whole time, despite Dr. Marvin only having one sit down with him,
mm-hmm.
the whole time Marvin's kind of warning everybody, don't do it. Don't get too close to this guy, and of course that's where the comedy comes from in the movie.
Yeah.
So
his family falls for it really fast.
Well, he's like a three-legged puppy. He's got his issues, but he's so cute. We got to love on him because we know he's got difficulties.
Well, and Bob also gives the family attention
that they don't get.
And it's something resembling empathy exactly that Leo doesn't give them.
Right. Which there's the ironic part is here's the man that knows the ins and outs of emotions and feelings in the human brain. Yeah. And then,
but he's not present with his own family. Whereas Bob is.
Where Bob is, despite Marvin's wishes.
Yeah.
So, so the Gutmans take Bob to Leo. So, okay. All of this, like I said, crumbling down. So Bob is introduced to Faye and Anna and Siggy. They all definitely understand that he's pretty eccentric, but they're kind of attracted to that because he is so not Leo.
Yeah, he's the polar opposite.
And so for them, it's fun. It's this fun little just workshop of a game. They don't even treat it necessarily that way, but it's because obviously in that, and you definitely understand it much better than I do. I mean, there's, patient doctor confidentiality to where Leo doesn't come home and talk about his patients. So for one of them to show up and be like, oh, this, it's look what the cat drug in. It's this is kind of fun. We get to interact and they were like, he's not that bad. He is. Yeah. And so Leo, who all he wants to do is get back to his vacation and get Bob out of there.
Well, and additionally, he's prepping for the Good Morning America.
I was getting there that he's got Good Morning America coming like in the morning. You know, they're going to come and do just a quick fireside chat because that's where Leo wants it. But Leo is a control freak. And
ironically,
and up to this point has control of everything. And so, you know, Bob and Leo's, he's on. He pulls Bob aside. He's like, where am I? He's like, you're on vacation. You need to take a vacation from your problems. It's so like you're talking to a toddler here.
I took down a note here that Leo is very pleased with himself.
How
he completely believes that he just outthought and pulled one over on Bob.
Yeah. And Bob,
I'm so clever.
Yeah. And so Bob is like, you know, you're right. I should take a vacation from my problems. And I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm on vacation.
And he shows back up like half an hour later or whatever.
Yeah. And he does. He comes back and he's got flowers, and Leo is like, Bob, what are you doing? He's like, I'm on vacation. Yeah. This isn't patient Bob. This is like neighbor Bob.
I'm just dropping by.
And he does the Hollywood, like walks in the door, makes a loop through the kitchen and walks back out just to have some exposition going while moving. I can't tell you how many movies that do that. Like it's the equivalent of the sit down and have your breakfast. I'm late for school, but there's just enough conversation going on while the kid chugs his OJ and grabs a muffin. It's, you know, that you don't realize, like, why did you make a 7-course meal for breakfast and then wake your kid up 5 minutes before school?
Yeah. What do you mean you're not going to eat your breakfast?
Yeah. So Bob walks in and, like you said, I'm just stopping by. I'm on vacation. And then we get a series of scenes where just Bob is bonding with the family.
Yeah. Little vignettes.
He's walking home and he starts to bob out. He starts to panic. Anna happens to like take the family vehicle and she's driving, and Bob just takes off sprinting down the road. But again, it's like I can't imagine what he's thinking, because he's always thinking like, what's he running from?
Well, he just starts panicking.
Yeah, he just panics and runs, and then it's Anna.
And of course, she gives one of those, like, she sees him and he's literally like serpentine running down the road,
just zigzagging.
And she gives one of the like, with like a smile
Bob.
and Bob.
Yeah, like she knows him so well. Yeah. And that's kind of how Faye, Siggy, and Anna all are. They've met Bob one
time.
And their reaction to everything is like, that's so Bob.
That's our Bob.
And so she's like, hey, I'm going sailing. Do you want to go sailing? And Bob's like, yeah, I do. I'm a sailor. I'm sailing.
I'm sailing. I'm a sailor.
I'm a sailor. They have him literally like duct taped to the mast.
Yeah. Cut to.
Yeah. And it's like, what do Anna's friends think?
You just took one of my possible haws, by the way.
Oh, sorry. But there are several people on this boat, and none of them are interacting with Bob. They're all at the back. They've got him.
Yeah. It's not Anna's boat. She just brings this stranger who's 20 years older than anyone else.
Yeah.
And duct tapes him to the mast of the boat.
And then everyone ignores him.
Yeah.
They're all in the back of the boat doing whatever they're doing, and Bob is just foghorning his way. I'm a sailor. I'm sailing.
I'm sailing.
And so they, meanwhile, at the same time, Sigmund has got this infatuation with the morbid and death. Which, whatever. But
Robert Smith from The Cure.
Exactly. Yeah. He wants to learn. He wants to dive. And Leo doesn't have time to teach him to dive. He just tells him, just go stand on the edge and just do it.
I loved it when I was a kid. I don't understand why you don't.
Yeah, I liked it. Why don't you? And so there's been some conversation, and Siggy's too afraid to do it. And so at this time, Sigmund asked Leo if he'll go down with him. And Leo, I hated this part where he's like, sure, I'll put aside all that I'm doing to prepare for Good Morning America, to go down to the dock and teach you how to dive. And I'm like, dude,
be a dad.
This is your kid.
Yeah.
So they're down there, and he's holding him like at the edge of the dock.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Sigmund's like, "You're not going to let me go, are you?" "No, I'm not going to let you go." Just as the sailboat comes by, Anna and of course Bob is now with Anna hanging. Dr. Marvin, I'm a sailor. And yeah, and he, of course, he lets go of Siggy.
Yeah.
After telling him he wouldn't do it. Which then Sigmund, now I've got trust. Like, you should have already had trust issues with your dad, but now you definitely do. So Leo just bolts. Leo takes off down to the marina and meets up with him. And basically, tells Anna, leave the car here. We're going to walk home. And she realizes he's got this hand puppet behind her back, because that's how, if you're not going to talk to me, you'll talk to, I can't even think of the name of it.
Yeah, but I don't remember either.
But, and she's just like, "Dad, this is ridiculous." Meanwhile, we hear Bob still taped to the mast, just ahoy. Like, he's just, he's having a good old time. He's loving it.
Yeah, he's a sailor.
I'm a sailor. And so we, it's just scene after scene after scene of stuff like this.
Yeah.
Good Morning America shows up. Leo has spent all of this time preparing the living room. Should it be a Sigmund Freud bust? Should it be a shotgun? Should it, like, what should I wear? And Faye's just like, "Dude, just relax."
Yeah.
So Bob shows up like the morning of Good Morning America's not there yet. And Leo's like, "Oh my God, we got to get this guy out of here."
Well, Bob had spent the night there.
Oh, that's right.
Faye invited him over for dinner. And
oh man, I skipped a whole bunch. Yeah,
and they that scene of them cleaning up the dishes after dinner, where they're all singing
and they're throwing plates around, but they're sitting at dinner and Bob's driving Bob's driving Leo nuts. Everyone else thinks it's cute because it's the best meal he's ever had in his life, and he's just, this is so good. Yeah. Like everything.
Will you stop that?
But yeah, so did it start storming?
It started raining, and they're singing in the rain while they're doing the dishes, and they're like, "Well, he can't. The car is still at the dock." Like,
they're like, "I'll run him home," and they're like, "Can't, Dad? You told me to leave the car down there." Yeah, thank you as I was getting way ahead of myself. But so Bob's got to stay the night. Apparently Richard Dreyfuss has a very large pair of pajamas that Bob Wiley can wear.
Well, this is the early 90s.
Yeah, he shares a bed shares a bedroom with Sigmund. They move furniture all over the place. Bob teaches Siggy that if you just pretend to have these phobias, then you don't actually have them.
And you can control it.
Yeah, and the best one is Tourette's. And so they just start yelling. Of course, this was back when, everybody thought Tourette's was just saying bad words. It's not about tics, it's about profanity.
Correct.
So they're, hurling insults at each other. And again, Leo's got Good Morning America coming in the morning, and all of this is going south.
And so Faye says it's just kids being kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bob is a grown man.
Bob is a very, very grown man. Yeah, this isn't like, oh, he's 19. No, he's like 39.
Yeah. It's just kids being kids.
He's old enough to be Siggy's dad.
Yeah.
So Good Morning America, the next morning, Bob is still there. As he's leaving, Good Morning America pulls up. So we get GMA crossing paths with Bob, and the interviewer thought, "You know what? Dr. Marvin, this is great. You're going to have one of your patients on. This is groundbreaking." And Leo's like, "Oh my God." Oh my gosh. And so cut to interview, which is so uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it is great. Everything that Leo had planned on, he just locks up on camera. They say action and he freezes.
Well, he's got Bob right next to him.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't know how to handle it.
Right. Yeah, because he's already at wit's end with him. And so all of this is completely out of left field.
Well, and he's had the whole thing scripted in his head. At one point, he even goes into a scripted answer that has nothing to do with the question that was asked him.
And so Yeah, he locks up because everything is altered now, and Bob steps in to save the day. He really truly cares about Dr. Marvin.
Yeah.
This isn't a Tom and Jerry where I'm going to pretend, or I guess Itchy and Scratchy would be a better example of, I'm going to pretend to be your friend so I could chop your tail off. No, Bob really does, like, he's helping me. Like, Dr. Marvin is helping me, and let's bring the family out here. Yeah. It's like he completely takes over.
He just dominates
this interview.
But he's very charming about it.
Yeah. Again,
engaging,
because it's small doses.
Yeah.
This is just a couple of minutes with Bob Wiley, to where it's not enough time for all of Bob's issues to come to the surface. And therefore it's not enough time for anybody to get irritated because those issues aren't there.
Yeah.
So yeah, he steals the spotlight right out from under Leo. Leo's had enough.
Leo calls him Boob at one point instead of Bob.
He does call him Boob. Leo's had enough. So he pulls a couple of strings to get Bob institutionalized. Which, again, we said earlier that this is about the time where things go to the extreme.
Yeah, they just go off the rails.
Yeah, to where if you're like, well, if you're starting to question, well, that's not ethical, it's too late. Like,
yeah, we're now in a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Yeah, this is not ethical choices. This is survival for Dr. Marvin. So he gets Bob institutionalized. Which he quickly befriends the staff.
Yep. Because
everybody loves him.
Because they take the word of the patient over that of the referring doctor.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're all convinced there's nothing wrong with him, Leo. He's sane.
Yeah.
Then Leo takes Bob and pulls a wet hot and essentially throws him out of the van on the way somewhere. He takes him to a remote location. He's just going to abandon him. Just leave him behind.
Yep.
And he does. Comes back, tells the family it's all good. Bob hitches a ride back. Leo runs into a lot of issues trying to get back home after dropping Bob off in the middle of nowhere. A lot of issues. And it's just hijink after hijink. But Leo gets back home and he's covered in mud and it's late. He comes in a very dark house. Well, Faye we heard a conversation on the phone earlier about a surprise party, but Faye had invited all of his family and friends, including his sister Lily, over for a surprise party. So Leo comes in again, looks awful because he's had all these mishaps coming back after trying to get rid of Bob, and he all worse for wear. Lily comes out. He just goes, Lily! Like, he's so excited to see his sister.
Yeah, like he's been holding in all of these bad feelings, and then positive happens.
Yes, finally, there's a light at the end of this tunnel. He's got this surprise party going. Lily's there. Bob comes up out of the crowd and kind of puts his arms around Lily. And Leo just snaps.
No, that's the last straw right there.
Yes, that is. Yeah, I love my sister more than my family. And he just snaps, tackles Bob in front of everybody.
He dives at him.
Yes. Oh, it's like dives off the stair, off like whatever like landing he's on the stairs.
He just lays out.
Yeah. And so Leo they ended up like they call for help. Leo gets sedated. The family finally is like, Bob, I think you're angering Leo and maybe you should leave.
Yeah. And they're like, it's not you.
Yeah, it's not you,
Bob. It's clearly him.
Yeah, he's got an issue.
Yeah.
So Leo sneaks out, and again, we're talking, this is, Lake Winnipesaukee is like home of the Acme factory. Leo sneaks out and steals a bunch of explosives.
Yes. There should have been like a crate labeled TNT.
Exactly. Yeah. With a big plunger or something.
Yeah.
So Leo sneaks out, steals a bunch of explosives. He then abducts Bob, straps all these explosives to Bob and tells him that I'm working on a new type of therapy called death therapy.
Death therapy, yeah.
Yeah. So he straps all these explosives to Bob, abandons him in the woods, and was calling it's death therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Bob then, as he's pondering in the woods, he starts to believe that, you know what, these explosives are my problems.
Yeah.
Like,
and he somehow rationalizes it as if it really is a therapeutic technique.
Yeah, like Dr. Marvin is, he's so great, he's helping me again. These are my problems. And so he shakes free of apparently a very loosely tied rope.
Yes, that was not very well tied.
No, I like I said, I watched Jaws last night. I know Richard Dreyfuss could tie a knot because he and Quint's get in a fight over them.
Yeah, they do.
And so he shakes free of those restraints. Still has the bomb, like he just shakes free of the rope, not the explosives. The explosives are still on him.
They're in like a cooler around his neck.
Right.
That's what it looks like.
And so and Bob makes it back to the Marvins. Leo is out with his family. Again, birthday. Just finally, my problems are gone.
Yes.
Bob Wiley is gone. As Bob comes down the hill with the birthday cake, singing happy birthday. Leo immediately is like, where are those explosives? I left them in the house. Boom. Like, yeah. Whole house goes up. Yeah. This entire time, the Gutmans are just fishing.
Yeah, they're right there on the lake in a fishing boat.
The entire time. We see them in 2 locations, 3. We see them at the store they own, which they never work at. They're just there that one scene. No. And then they drive Bob to the Marvins, and then they're just fishing off, just offshore. So the house explodes. The Gutmans are thrilled. Leo, we thought he snapped earlier. He's completely broken at this point. Yeah. So Leo gets institutionalized for being catatonic.
Yeah, very catatonic. Like he's gone.
Yeah, that was it. So fast forward a little bit. It doesn't matter. Sometime later.
Yes.
Bob and Lily get married.
Of course they do.
Bob is completely cured at this point. Like, seeming so. Like, it's like he just transferred all of this into Leo. Bob and Lily get married. As they're announced husband and wife, Leo snaps out of his catatonic state. Screams no, because they do the
does anyone object?
Speak now or forever hold their peace. And he doesn't say anything at the time, but now he screams no. Everybody's just excited that he's talking again. Nobody's
back. And he's there like in a wheelchair in like a hospital bathrobe.
Exactly. Yeah. Nobody dressed him up. He's just there. So everybody is so excited that he's back that they're not even listening to like what brought him out. And then we get text over the end of Bob went back to school. He's now a psychologist. He wrote a book called Death Therapy, and Leo was suing him for the rights. And that's what about Bob.
That's what about Bob. Oh, what a movie that just about dichotomies. Like, there's parts of this movie I really enjoy. There's others that are just, yeah. I don't know. Well, hey, folks, every week Oz and I give our own unique rating to the film we've been yapping about. In this case, 1991's What About Bob? So, hey, Oz, how would you rate this flick?
I'm giving this 8 diving lessons.
8 diving lessons. Okay.
Yep. What are you giving it?
I'm going to go with 65 baby steps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I also just realized as I introduce our next bit, hey folks, every week Oz and I scour the interweb searching for unprofessional reviews that tickle our funny bones, and we hope they tickle yours as well. In this week's edition of Outside Insights, I forgot to do my scouring, Oz. So
I will read mine slowly.
Yes, take your time as I find an outside insight.
I can do that. All right, my outside insight comes from LinkedIn. Or not LinkedIn. Why did
LinkedIn?
Yeah. I'm buying you time.
It was at Julie Haggerty's LinkedIn page.
I've manufactured my mistakes so that you could buy more time.
I just found something, by the way.
Comes from Letterboxd.
Okay.
It is a 5-star review left 3 days ago.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. By Hubert Lemonade. He says, yeah, I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. Wow, wow, wow. Oh, Mason, I don't want to watch this movie. Oh, boo-hoo, this looks bad. Ugh. Silence. The haters were proved wrong that fateful night in Nathan's basement, for its movie was, in fact, a chucklehead's delight, a rib tickler's riot, a gutbuster's bonanza. Dare I even have the gall to say it was a knee slapper's shindig? Never doubt me. I know a funny one when I watch it, and I never forget.
Like an elephant.
5 stars.
5 stars. 5 stars. Yep.
Yeah. Like all right. So what's yours? You found one quickly?
I found one very quickly. As always on the Internet Movie Database, I will say the 1 out of 10 section never fails to provide with yucks. So this is a 1 out of 10 review left in August of 2002 by Coraloot. And with the subject line, ugh. Oh. A wretched film that I recommend not seeing. I hated it. Bill Murray is capable of much funnier stuff. I'm not sure how this script was ever approved by movie execs, but someone must have been feeling drunk that day. Feeling drunk, that was drunk.
No, they're just feeling it.
Just feeling it. I'm also not sure how they got Richard Dreyfuss or Bill Murray to star in this film. Maybe they had some really good blackmail on the two of them, or maybe they just needed some beer money.
Beer money.
Uh-huh. Yep, I've got blackmail and Richard Dreyfuss. We're going to get him to star in What About Bob? I've got photos of you, Dreyfuss.
That's right, Dreyfuss.
It was actually Bob Hoskins from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He was playing Patty Cake.
Yeah, Bob Hoskins blackmailed Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah. All right, hey folks, it's that point in the show you've all been waiting for, the Let's Talk About Flicks signature segment, the 3, 2, 1, in which Oz and I each share 3 goods, 2 bads, and 1 huh about this week's movie, What About Bob? Oz, what are your 3 goods?
My first one, titular line.
Titular line.
I haven't been able to say that in quite a while.
They say it a couple of times in this movie.
Yeah, but what about Bob?
But what about Bob?
Titular line. My second one is really, I want to give props to Dreyfuss's performance. Mm-hmm. I think he did a great job of just being so smarmy that like there's nothing likable about his character.
Yeah.
Of just Bob Wiley or not, his personality's trash. The way he treats his family is terrible.
Yeah. Like he does a great job of being awful.
Yeah. And so but he at the same time, he's not abusive. He's not, like he's not like cheating, or he's just a terrible personality. Like, and so, kudos to Dreyfuss to bring that to the character.
Yeah.
To make sure that, hey, don't you go siding with me, because I'm not giving you anything to like here. And my third is, as Marvin and Anna are walking away from the boat into the woods, just hearing Bill Murray yell, "Ahoy!" And he's not even yelling it at them. He's still strapped to the boat.
Yeah.
And people on the marina. He's just so excited to share that. So, ahoy!
This is what he thinks you do when you're sailing.
If you're a sailor, this is what you do.
That's what you do.
So that was my third good. I laugh at that, I think, every time. I forget about it every time because it's just one word. But it's one of those Bill Murray being Bill Murray things. Mm-hmm. I could even see it probably wasn't even scripted. It's just him, realizing the camera's rolling and he's still kind of in scene, but he's more vocal than he is, visible. So those are my 3 goods. What do you got?
For my 3 goods, I'm combining several of the ones I have here. For the first one, I will say, again, Dr. Marvin initially tries to do a good job of setting boundaries with this patient. Like the first time Bob gets through to him on the phone, I think he said like, it's Leo's sister with an emergency. That's how he duped the call screener.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
To get the call through.
Yeah, because he looks like he hired a prostitute.
Yeah.
Like he hired a street worker to pose as Lily on the call.
And so he gets through to Marvin, and Marvin's like, Bob, if this is an emergency, go to the emergency room.
Right.
And he's polite, but he's direct, and he gets the point across. So initially, he does a competent job of trying to draw appropriate boundaries.
Right.
So that's my first good. My second is before that in the movie, just that first scene of them, the intake interview. In Marvin's office. First of all, Bob couldn't bring himself to get in the elevator. And so he had to go up like 20 flights of stairs. Yeah. And so he walks into the office out of breath with his mouth open the whole time. And the thing that got me, he checks his own pulse. And then once he's in the office, he notices Marvin's family. There's several pictures of his family in there, and so he goes over. He's like, "Wait a second, I'm great at this. I'm gonna guess their names."
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
And he goes through several times, and like, that's so and so.
Yeah,
that's so and so. And the last time he ends with like, "And that's your daughter Bambi." So my second good is just that opening, the intake interview, and my last good is again just clearly Act 3, where we are full Warner Brothers, where Bob is Bugs Bunny, where Leo is now Daffy Duck, and it's just we're watching a Warner Brothers cartoon.
Yes, we are.
In particular, there's a couple of moments where like it's when they get to the point where like. It's storming outside and the car's not there and Leo's screaming like he needs to go, but it's raining outside. He can borrow my slicker. And a little later, after Leo, this could be my favorite moment of the whole movie. After Leo drops Bob off at that inpatient facility, and he's driving home and he's talking to himself. like he's talking to the pretend Bob that isn't there with him in the car, and so he's carrying on this conversation out loud. He's like, and he offers pretend Bob a cigarette. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you were in a straitjacket. And so it's like that's the point where like he is clearly cracked. Where he's carrying on this conversation between himself and pretend Bob.
Well, yeah, it went from professional relationship to it's personal now.
Yeah.
Like he hates Bob Wiley.
Yeah. It reminds me of the scene in Evil Dead 2 where Bruce Campbell's character Ash, where he finally just loses it. Like everybody's gone, Linda's gone.
Yeah.
And he goes off his rocker. He sits down in a rocking chair, and the rocking chair literally breaks.
Yeah.
And that's when like all the mounted animals and
start laughing at him
with the lamp and everything. Yeah. So the movie goes full Evil Dead 2 there for a couple of moments.
It does for sure.
So those are my three goods. Oz, what are your two bads?
My first one was Bob's detective bit.
Yes.
It was cute. Like I understood the reason it was there, but there was nothing to this point that would have allowed me to believe Bob could pull that off.
That he was capable of that. Yeah.
Exactly.
I had that as a possible,
And so that was my bad. That was my first bad. It's just yes, we had to create a way for him to get the information to be at Lake Winnipesaukee. But like you said, he wasn't able. There was no way he could pull that off.
Yeah. He just he didn't have the capability of doing that.
And so that's my first bad. My second one is in that same scene where they call Dr. Marvin and give him the news that Bob Wiley has committed suicide. And his reaction is just like, oh, well.
And then he uses the clapper to turn the lights off.
At this point, like we haven't gone Looney Tunes yet.
Yeah.
And so at this point, like it's like a professional mental health professional just got news that their new client has committed suicide, and he was like, oh, okay. Yeah. And so that's my second bad. I know he was rubbing him the wrong way, but even though the news proved to be false, he still got that news. And that was that. So that was my second bad. What are yours?
For mine, again, I'm kind of combining a couple I have here into one. My first one is that it this movie leans into the stereotype of a lot of mental like classic Freudian psychotherapy is mental health, and that's how you do mental health. It also kind of confuses psychology with psychiatry a little bit. I'm not going to go into too far detail on that, but like classic Freudian psychology is very stereotypical. It's dangerous. It's very it's very dominant by the therapist, you know, where they are clearly, they position themselves above the client, you know, when Leo was doing that intake interview, and granted, like you said before, part of his mind is on the book, part of his mind is on the interview, part of his mind is just, I want to get on vacation, but he's sitting there just with his chin in his palm, just giving very snide, stereotypical, like therapist responses to Bob. And I'm going to combine that, just because this all kind of wraps up in like Freudian psychology, with the names of Leo Marvin's kids.
Yeah.
Are Siggy for Sigmund and Anna for Sigmund Freud's daughter, Anna Freud. Like, come on.
You named your children after.
Yeah. Sigmund Freud, of course, like did a lot to get psychology and therapy to legitimize it. However, there's a lot wrong with his theories and his framework. So
even more so, Anna's the older one. So he consciously named his first child after Sigmund Freud's daughter.
Yeah.
And then his second one after Sigmund Freud.
Yeah. So, which leads me actually to my second bad. Catherine Irby, who played Anna, the daughter, I'm guessing she was supposed to be maybe 16, 17. She gave a fine performance. She was close to 30.
Yeah.
And I think was only within like 10 years of Julie Haggerty.
I was going to say, Julie Haggerty is only like 10 years.
Yeah. Catherine Irby did not look like she was 16 or 17 years old.
No.
She looked like her real age, you know, close to 30 years old, which is fine, but then you don't cast her. Like, she did not look the part.
No, she did not.
And it took me out of the scenes with her.
Well, and it raised that question of how old is she supposed to be? You know, because she did not look the part. And this is 91, where we're used to seeing 20-something teenagers.
Yeah.
You know, like The Breakfast Club, for example. You know, like those guys, you know, with the exception of Anthony Michael Hall, like they didn't look high schoolish, but they did a better job of making them look high schoolish than they did with her. Yeah, she was on board more as like the babysitter.
Yeah. I mean, they even dressed her like she was in her mid-20s too.
Yeah,
it's not just like, I don't blame Catherine Irby for that.
No.
But yeah,
but I agree with you.
Yeah, so that's my second bad. Oz, what's your
Is hand-shucked corn, does it taste better?
According to Bob, it does.
I love that part where they're eating and he just stops and Faye, is this hand shucked? All right. So like this, I've only had hand shucked corn, I guess. I mean, maybe, I don't know. So that's my Does hand shucked corn really taste better?
I guess Bob could tell a difference.
Yeah, he's very impressed. Yeah. Is this hand shucked?
Is this hand shucked? Why, yes.
What's your
My is, what does Faye see in Leo?
Yeah.
I have a feeling that, you know, Leo was probably very charming and kind of, and he's a little alpha in his own ways as well. And he probably kind of won her over like that.
Right.
But like, she's so happy. Like, she's so Julie Haggerty. Like,
yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. She's not acting here from my knowledge of seeing her in other things. Yeah. She's just Julie Haggerty.
Yeah. And it just like I had a hard time again, just acknowledging that Julie Haggerty's Faye was in a loving relationship with Richard Dreyfuss's Leo. Right.
I would like to think that before his success really took off, he probably was more present.
I would hope so.
You know, I would like to think that.
Yeah.
But you get the vibe that as soon as Parenthood dropped on his door, It was over because he does not have a relationship with his children.
No. Well,
and
yeah, Bob even makes it was a very passing comment about the age difference between the two of them. Like it's one of those relationships where like I could see like she was like his grad assistant or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
Or like, she interned with him, or there was some kind of like power dynamic to their initial relationship, and it just went from there.
Right. I could see that. But yeah, she's so happy.
Yeah. And he's not.
And Lily's gonna be happy. And it's like, I would have liked, that's another movie I would like to see, as the post-house explosion to wedding. Show me Bob and Lily making it work.
Well, that's a sequel. What about Leo?
Yeah. So that I would like to see, like, how did that happen? So
I would love to see that in like a Funny or Die short version.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Oh yeah, I wouldn't want to watch a full film on it.
Well, it's like this kind of goes against what we like, how we just frame things, but like the Weird Al Yankovic, they originally did a short, I think it was on Funny or Die, and then 10 years later it became the movie Weird, which was
yeah, I've seen it. That movie's a lot of fun.
It was fun.
Yeah, I like it. Just it had Weird Al's stamp all over it.
Yeah. Wasn't it Conan O'Brien as Salvador Dali?
Yes. Almost unrecognizable, like back there, just because that scene had so many just personalities in there.
Yeah.
Pee Wee Herman and Wolfman Jack and but then there's Conan back there, Salvador Dali.
Yep.
That was fun. That was a fun movie.
Yeah,
so.
It was. Well, hey,
what are we going to watch next week? Because that's What About Bob.
That's What About Bob.
That answers that question.
Well, we have another question next week. A movie that I have seen, but it's probably been close to 30 years since I have seen it, and Same. I remember next to nothing about it.
Same.
We're going to go back to, I this off the top of my head, I think 1993, if memory serves.
Yeah, 93, 94, something like that.
To What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
Yeah.
Another movie that poses a question with its title.
Yes.
We will find out exactly what is eating Gilbert Grape.
It's probably brain parasites.
It's there's a again, we're in 2025 here. We can make some jokes.
It's brain worms.
Yes, yeah.
That's what's eating Gilbert Grape.
That's brain worms.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, he's got a bright future ahead of him then.
Yeah, that or measles.
Yeah, one of the two. Another early establishing performance from Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah. Johnny
Depp was just kind of starting to get into his real groove there.
Yeah. Definitely this is another one of those films, kind of like what we just talked about, What About Bob, of kind of that mid-tier, we got a good story, let's attach some people, some up-and-comers and see what happens. And I remember it being a good movie. I don't remember it like ever being like one of my favorite movies, but I remember being like, I like the performances in it.
It's at a 7.7 on IMDb.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I completely forgot. Mary Steenburgen is in this. John C. Reilly is in it. Crispin Glover is in it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Crispin Glover that's eating Gilbert Grape.
It could be. He's done some wacky things, folks.
He has done some. So
Crispin Glover consumes Gilbert Grape.
This movie takes place in Iowa, if I remember correctly.
A young man in a small Midwestern town struggles to care for his mentally disabled younger brother and morbidly obese mother while attempting to pursue his own happiness.
I will say that Leonardo DiCaprio was much more believable as mentally disabled than Juliette Lewis and Giovanni Ribisi were in The Other Sister.
Yeah. We'll see. I got a feel, again, it's been a long time since I've seen this movie. I got a feeling parts of this haven't aged well.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
I doubt it. Yeah. I highly, highly doubt it. But
yeah.
we'll see what kind of coming of age Gilbert Grape goes.
We'll see. Lasse Hellstrom directed it, which explains a lot because all he does is kind of sappy melodramas.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Fair enough. So, well, social media wise, you guys can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube if you're more the visual, like the visual element of things. Definitely want to give a shout out to Chicago Indie Critics.
Definitely.
The great people over there doing great work.
Yep.
Keep it up. Don't worry, we'll bring up the rear.
Yep, we're the barnacle on the ship.
That's true. That's fine, as long as I get to be somewhere.
Exactly. So. You're not shaking us off.
Nope, not this year. So, for another episode, Let's Talk About Flicks, I'm Oz.
I'm Curtis.
And next week, we will find out what's eating Gilbert Grape.